everyone. Hello. Good evening. Happy Friday night. It is I, Madame Askew, and I'm ever so happy to be here with all of you this evening for tea time and tales and all sorts of nonsense, no doubt, as we love our nonsense on a Friday night. So thank you very much for joining me for this pastime. It is Gish Week, which means many silly things have been happening all over the internet all week long. Hello, Charity, my dove. It's good to see you here. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Monsieur Gatto may put in an appearance. He's thinking about it. I have a slightly different setup than usual tonight. Mostly he's curious about why I'm doing things, what I'm doing, why the lack of attention. He is happy with the greater number of treats. So, no, nonsense is very fun, and truthfully, Gish is a wonderful sort of adventure I look forward to with great enthusiasm. So I'm very happy to be able to participate this year. I'm not always able to participate. Last year I was at costume college, and that very much conflicted with Gish, but this year, in part due to the pandemic, I'm able to participate, and it has really been a wonderfully inspiring experience. Hello, Deborah. Hello, Cindy. Well, thank you. I am in a dirndl tonight. I am, in fact, in the Goth cupcake dirndl, one of my favourites. And so you may surmise that it may feature in something very silly later, which I will be able to share with you next week. So watch for that. Most of the things we do for Gish are secrets until the scavenger hunt is done, and then we're able to share with impunity. So I'm looking forward to sharing quite a few very silly things with all of you. So, and I hope you are all quite well tonight. Oh, hello Andy. Hello dear Joseph. Hello Lady June Squill. Oh dear, seems I have a potato, and Monsieur Gatto is curious as to why. Alas, he shall have to remain curious. So hello. Thank you, June, for bringing junk to my bungalow. The junk has become art in multiple cases. So there's that. Or at least something of an artistic endeavour. Whether or not it actually achieves art is a question best left to critics. Oh my goodness. Oh, that's delightful. So Cindy's daughter is also gishing this week, and Cindy has been helping her. That's wonderful. Yeah, no, one of the fantastic things about Gish is that if you are not on a team, your friends who are on teams still need your help, and so you can still collaborate and participate, which is really fun. When I am not able to do the duties of being on a team, I usually offer up my help throughout the Gish season, as it were, to help other teams as I'm able. So, and quite a few of you have helped me, not only with deliveries of secret ingredients, but also you've pledged to the 2 different fundraisers we've shared, so thank you very much for that. The first fundraiser was one to raise funds for anti-malarial nets. We don't worry about that so much in the cooler climates or in the drier climates, but in places that are very humid, very hot, very damp with a great deal of water, mosquitoes are a grave issue. And even in the States, here, malaria has made its way to places like Louisiana. It's a terrible disease. It can be a lifelong affliction, although the medication is much improved. is still really a harrowing, fraught ailment. So being able to stop it with something as uninvasive as a net is really remarkable. So thank you for pledging and supporting that one. And then if you go to my personal page, you will see our current fundraiser that's going, which I have a particular passion for. So I'll let you read more about it. It's a much more involved fundraiser, and really my sincerest, deepest thanks for all of you who did pledge to either or both of those. Thank you. Hello Justine. Hello Rambo Rose. Hello. Oh, Cindy knows why the potato. Yes, you're in the secret knowledge, Cindy. Schnitzel. Oh, I made schnitzel this week. No, last week. Time is an illusion, and also very hard to keep track of these days. But schnitzel, gosh, it was... I mean, it's not like going to Vienna and having a really fine chef make the schnitzel, but I did my best. We'll say that it was schnitzel because I called it schnitzel, and sometimes that has to be just close enough. Especially when one is operating without one's butler. Sometimes the schnitzel it's not quite up to par, but it was tasty, so that's good. Good evening, dear Selena. It's so good to have you here tonight. I am, of course, having to check the comments on a different device because I'm using the more elaborate setup with Phil, the cheeky camera. So far, Phil has been mostly delightful. He's mostly cooperated, and he's worked really hard this week, so I don't want to disparage him too much. But we all know that there's a bit of a danger when using Phil, as he is, frankly, he's cracked. He's cracked under the pressure. He's seen better times, as it were. So, poor Phil. Oh, yeah. Oh, that's good. Oh, lovely. I'm not decreasing my caffeination, I have to tell you. I went for the very strong morning teas. Even late in the day, more caffeine is better, as there's still gishing to be done. For those of you who are tea scouts and who participated in the stay home adventure this earlier in the pandemic, I was deeply inspired by Gish when designing those challenges every week. So if you're wondering where some of the more outlandish suggestions came from, now you know. Hello, Edward. Hello, Yogi. Hello, Captain Evie. Hello, Ruby. Yeah, no, it's my tea stein. It's my ditzy tea stein, as you can see. The little ditzy print. Now, what you cannot see is that, no, I don't think I can show you. Let's see if I can do this without spilling tea or scalding myself. It actually says, tea solves everything. And if you're a lefty, then your guest will see the words. But if you're a righty, which I am, then every time I take a sip, I see that beautiful little phrase, putting me at ease. Oh, that's so lovely. So good. I love a nice cuppa. I really... Oh, it's just... hits the spot. No, charity, as you say, caffeine saves lives. And it also saves art projects. that may go into the wee hours of the night or require early morning hours, possibly. That's a thing I have some concerns may need to happen, is very early mornings. Ooh, goodness. And without the butler, without the staff, it's been very hard to do mornings. I mean, when Mick McTavisham is here, he brings me an entire tray covered in teacups, scones, cream, jam, marmalades, biscuits. So many carbohydrates, so many. And really all the tea. It's much easier to face the day with a warm scone in one hand and a cup of tea in the other, as I'm certain you can all imagine. So, I love this. T-Lock Holmes. Perfect. So good. And Edward asks, if you are better than your opponent at the Gish, do you win the Lillian Award? No. Not that Gish, although I love Lillian Gish. She's a delightful actress, really an inspiration for so many of us. No, you actually tend to get a trip out of winning Gish if you win Gish. I don't think there's going to be a trip this year though, as none of us are travelling, so don't remember what was on offer. I never do it for the prizes, I do it for the inspiration and the camaraderie. I join Gish for the opportunity to make really absurd art and to sort of clear my preconceptions of what I can and cannot do for a week. It sort of freshens up my perspective, but also I do it because I love the whimsy with which we are raising funds for really good causes, and I'm very keen on the general sorts of underpinnings of Gish, that kindness is a critical resource in the world and that we need more of it, and that if we can individually create kindness and whimsy and share it with our fellows, we can make the world a little bit better, sort of through a ripple effect. And I don't know about you, but myself right now, I needed that reminder, because the news of the day is often very dire. So it's lovely to be amongst a coterie of people who are doing whatever they may to just be a little kinder, to do a little bit of good on a daily basis. And the inspiration is so thick on the ground, it's really palpable. So hello Brittany. Yeah, no, and Cindy does point out one of the great honours of Gish, which is to make the coffee table book, something I have personally never done. So I hope springs eternal, of course. We all play with a team. Teams are typically 15 individuals, stalwart, dedicated, absurd individuals willing to make art. So that's, I think, really for me, the team making the coffee table book would be just a marvellous feat. It would give me great joy. So we'll see what happens, but it's been a delightful bit of fun, and whilst it has sort of taken me away from my normal schedule and my normal availability, and I've missed you all, I've carried you in my heart, but I wish I could be carrying you along on the adventure too. So I'm really excited to return to our normal schedule of adventures next week and to share some of my outrageous happenings from the past week. But it's also been sort of a vacation in the sense that it has upset my typical patterns, my typical day to day. My diary looks much more scattershot and unpredictable these days, and so that's been kind of a little bit of a reprieve in some big ways from the same every day of, well, I get up, I make tea, I try and remember to make breakfast. I do some writing, I do some of this, that and the other. So no, I agree, Yogi. Kindness is incredibly important, and it's one of the founding principles of the Tea Scouts. It's something we really promote with the Tea Scouts, that the Tea Matrixes felt so strongly, and honestly, many of the Tea Matrixes, not all, but many of us had been on a Gish team together before forming the Tea Scouts, and we'd been friends. All of us have been friends for many a year, and so we came out of Gish and we wanted to carry that sensibility and that energy into steampunk. And so in a very real way, for those of you who've joined the Tea Scouts, Gish was that lightning bolt, and I know I am very thankful for the inspiration, because I love the Tea Scouts. I love all of the silliness we get up to with the Tea Scouts. I love our tea-fueled adventures. I love knowing that wherever there's a Tea Scout, there's a little pocket of kindness, and that I can send newcomers to any Tea Scout and that they will find help, they'll find a friend, they'll also find a really good cuppa. It's kind of a bit of magic, isn't it? So oh, hello, Jessica Seneca, Madam Seneca, it's good to see you, it's been a bit. Oh, no, Jessica, please do not apologise. I'm very sorry you've had a rough month. You know, if you've missed anything, it's only been that we are here to give you a bit of a reprieve from the rough times and to provide a little bit of laughter and a bit of joy at the end of the week, to try and help through the rough times. But honestly, we're all in this unprecedented, historic moment together, separated, of course, by the quarantine for some of us, by isolation. It is, frankly, completely understandable and sadly deeply common right now to have a rough week or a rough month, or to be having a rough 6 months at this point. So please never apologise for not being here. I'm happy to see you anytime you're able to make it, and that is true for all of you, except for, of course, Joseph, whom I expect to be here every Friday. Otherwise the world will probably fall apart. Just so you know, Joseph, you do not get a reprieve. Yes. Hello. Oh, thank you, my dear Eve Riot, burlesque performer, artist extraordinaire. This is the Goth cupcake. Look, one of my favourites, and I did pair it with a rhinestone skeletal hand this evening, which I think is a really actually a really spiffing addition to the ensemble, and a gift from one of my aunties. So, yes, Captain Evie, who is one of the founders of the Tea Scouts, where the tea matrix is, says, honest, helpful, courteous, kind. That is us. That is the Tea Scouts. And it is a thing, I think, that the very best Gish teams bring to Gishing. That is the spirit of Gish as well. Yeah, no, Selena has clearly met Gishers and possibly participated in Gish, because yes, you do indeed discover some life skills, like how to get a goat into a boat in the middle of the desert to enjoy a breakfast of green eggs and ham. Yes, you do. I have not personally learned that skill, but I've learned some other skills. Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, no. Charity is correct. We also bring the weird with the Tea Scouts and the Gish. It is how we excel at the kindness and joy. So I think the weird is a really important ingredient. Also, yeah, thank you, dear Eve. You will see more full body shots of the Goth cupcake later, as I shall be taking more photos later. It's very hard for me to show off the entire ensemble during tea without inadvertently murdering myself, or possibly disemboweling Phil, the cheeky camera. I'm not ready to disembowel him, to be honest. I quite like him most of the time. Oh, Charity says she loves that all the looks have names. It makes her so happy. Thank you, Charity. It's actually something we started doing 3 years ago, I think. Roughly the time, it might be 4 years ago now. Time is so complicated. Time travel makes it even harder, honestly. But just a few years ago, we started doing matching looks for the Grand Arbiter and myself, and at that point the ensembles became so complicated and so much more over the top and so much more fabulous that they needed names. So we started naming them. We do still have a sort of occasional debate on some of the names. Some of them pick up nicknames. Some have 2 or 3 names because they're so elaborate. They have like their formal name, their informal name, their nickname, the name I call them when they've been naughty, and they need to be scolded. So that's like calling them their first, middle and last name sort of scenario. I am thinking about the Velvet Darjeeling when I say that, to be honest. Yes, I love that. Eve says, embrace the weird and the power of and. I think that is something that is so easy to forget, and it is so important to think of and rather than but, to include rather than exclude, to include for yourself as well, to include in your life experience, not simply to call people in to the joy and the adventure, but for yourself, to be calling yourself into possibility rather than to be making a distinction that something may not be possible because we're grown-ups-ish, maybe. We're certainly of the age of majority, all of us here tonight, and so we've seen a year or two, we've made some some perambulations around the sun. We are all aware that things do not always work out and that we do not always get our dreams. But we don't need to start from a place of denying ourselves the possibility or telling ourselves not to try because there is this little bit of a, stumbling block or possible obstacle in our way, that we should try anyway, because we need to include the possibility. Hello, Patricia. Hello, Wendy Trachis. And oh my goodness, we've got some more wonderful comments. And yes, Evie, instead of or, also very important. Although I don't want to quibble semantics. Sometimes or can be inclusive. Or is a very tricky conjunction. It's perhaps one of the cheekier conjunctions. You have to keep your eye on or. It will trip you up a bit. Patricia, I'm so happy that we can bring some laughter to your day and bring a little bit of joy on your Friday evenings. Having given service as a member of the armed forces, you've probably seen your share of hardships and difficult times. You certainly have more than earned a little bit of laughter and brightness in your week, so I'm happy to be part of providing some of that, although I hope that you find other moments of joy throughout the week. So now I have to go back here. Oh yes. June says we like cats. Oh, that's accurate. It's true. We are. And Eve points out that's a bit like the audience and the backstage performance. Also accurate. Very cat-like experiences when you perform. There's a lot of wild, unfettered, untamable energy, or very barely domesticated energy, which is my favourite kind. I like this. Charity says she embraces and as well as why. TF not. I think we all know what the F stands for. Nissa the show dog, Eve says, believes that chicken should be for her and Eve, both, not just for Eve, but for Nissa and Eve. Eve, you should know that I would give Nissa that chicken, as I regularly give Monsieur Gâteau chicken if he asks for it, and I always gave Monty the Wonder Dog, whom most of you did not have the opportunity to meet, but he was a joyful creature. He always got chicken if he wanted it. He's a lovely boy. No, Lady June Squirrel and Eve, you are both correct. Cats and dogs have many, many names. I think we, they're humans, are often only privileged to know one or two, maybe three names, if we're quite fortunate. Duchess Fiona only introduced me to some of her names later in life, actually. She waited. She had to be certain that I was truly worthy, and it took her about 12 years to get there, but she did finally sort of open up on the name front, and I feel deeply privileged on that front. Thank you, dear Eve, for giving Nissa one more treat from me. I would love to give her treats. I hope to one day do so. Hello, dear Robert. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. It's good to see you virtually. And Robert, in these strange times, time is so elusive. I know that you have been back into the dangers of the laboratory, working away, making certain that certain mysterious substances are, well, kept in check. And I hope you are doing reasonably well, maintaining yourself, your health. I miss you. I miss getting to see you at Gaslight Expo this autumn. I miss my summertime adventure, which takes me out to California and up the coast to Washington, and during which I see so many of you in person, and honestly it's become such a special treat that I rely upon every year, and it's a huge hole in my heart that I'm not having that opportunity to see you in person, to sit down and have a cup of tea. So 2021, knock wood, we'll have that cup of tea. No, that's correct. Hello, Philippos, my favourite skeptic. It's good to see you. Eve is correct. There is neither late nor early to tea. It's precisely on time, no matter when you arrive. Oh no. Oh, Brittany, I'm so sorry to hear that your poodle is feeling poorly and not wanting to eat. In truth, I did at a certain point take to making every meal for my dear Monty the Wonder Dog, as he was very deeply ill, and needed special care. And sometimes these are the things we must do for our beloved fur family. So I hope that Guinevere turns the corner and starts feeling a bit better. It's so heart-racking when they are under the weather, since they cannot tell us what precisely is going on, why they are not feeling well. I think that's the hardest part of all, is not knowing when they hurt and why they hurt and how to make them feel better. Yeah, no. Yeah, Yogi, I believe 2021 will be the year of tea. 2020 was meant to be the year of lace. I hope you're all wearing so much lace at home. Perhaps I should start making you for very frilly at-home lounging photography, so I can see all of your lace handkerchief, your lace caps, your lace scarves. Maybe you're wearing lace mitts, lace aprons. Less practical but very fetching. Highly recommend them for those moments when you want to make dinner for one or two, if you have someone you are quarantining with, and you just want to be fancy for dinner. So, oh my goodness. No, Philippos, I agree. I like to clean between experimentation, to take care of one mess before going on to the next. I shall spend quite a bit of time cleaning up after Gish. Oh my goodness, it's such a mess in the workshop of doom right now. Dear Robert, I am glad you are doing as well as you can and taking the best care of yourself possible right now. Actually, there's nothing to add of that. I'm grateful. I worry about all of you, and there's so little we can do in some practical ways, but still, I'm here in the bungalow worrying and sending love out to all of you. Oh dear, Wendy, I'm so sorry to hear that MJ has been feeling under the weather because her kibble disagreed with her. I I did 2 tours of cancer with Monty the Wonder Dog, so I have some experience with making healthful and homemade meals for puppies. Eve, 2020 has clearly become year of the dramatic robe. I think the Grand Arbiter will forgive us if we do a sort of 2020 year of the lace on the dramatic robe, maybe, or year of the dramatic robe with lace. Perhaps we could like underscore, like a subheading, because I think the year's taken a turn that none of us really expected in December of 2019. Although, Carol, you are such a cheeky strumpet, and I love you for it. I was not going to suggest lace and nothing else, although sometimes that is exactly the right answer. Oh, Eve is in a dramatic robe right now. Yes, I need more dramatic robes. I have insufficient dramatic robes. The Grand Arbiter has a dearth of dramatic robes. This is criminal in this year, clearly. Oh dear, oh dear. Is this going to become a sewing project? Will this be a sew-along later this year? Possibly. It could happen. I'm not going to say it won't. I have to get through the kaftan and the dirndl and the hat first, and then really anything is possible. After that, we've got those 3 lined up, but then maybe it's dramatic robe time. I'm not saying it isn't. So, yes, Wendy, it definitely counts that you donated to the Startup Lace Museum. I did as well. So, did you make me aware of that museum? I feel like I found out about it through you, but I know I donated a few quid. Hello, Tonya, it's good to see you. Oh no, Vogue has stolen all of the Victorian lace. Vogue magazine. Well, you know what that means. 2021 is the year we steal the lace back from Vogue, clearly. We'll have to perform some sort of lace-taking heist. They can't keep all the lace. We're not going to let them have all the lace. Not in perpetuity. No, we will liberate the lace for everyone. Yes. Oh. Yeah, no, Philippos, every time I have to give my dear furry family members medication, I wish I could really make them understand that I'm only tormenting them to help them feel better, and it's just impossible to make that clear. I think occasionally they start to connect that moment with feeling better half an hour or an hour later, but usually it's just a perpetual irritation, isn't it? Oh, Brittany, grief is so hard, isn't it? When my kitty Piero passed, Fiona went into a deep depression and she lost quite a bit of weight. It was really, really hard to bring her back from that. It required really, it required me to bring Cake into the home so that she would have a new feline to hate. Fiona's really fueled by hate, and she missed having another cat to hate. Actually, that does not speak well for her character, but I adore her. I adore that cheeky creature. Oh, Charity, are you swanning about sans ball gown to run your errands? Madness. Good evening, Robin. It's so good to see you. We are waxing poetic about dramatic robes and lace and our pets, and how to get our pets to eat healthful, nutritious nibbles when they are feeling poorly or feeling very sad, depressed, grieving. And Eve points out that every year for Eve Riot is the year of the dramatic robe. That is correct. And I believe you had some really charming photos recently of you in dramatic robes, being absolutely glorious, Eve. Really swanning about this place. And, if you're not going to swan about in a caftan, a robe is a really good option. You could have a caftan and a robe. No one says you can't have both. There are no rules denying you a robe to go over your caftan. You can really robe it up. Absolutely. Brittany, lows on pyjama pants is completely reasonable. I am in favour of this choice. The Grand Arbiter likes lace on his regular trousers, and I usually, to be honest, I never tell the Grand Arbiter no, unless I could potentially die in the offing, and even then I'm usually willing to roll the dice, metaphorically. Jennifer Murray, I think you've got a really good thought here. Year of the dramatic lacy robe. Yes, clearly that is this year. Year of the dramatic lacy robe. Then we keep the lace, but we add the drummers and the loungewear. Clearly we all need more loungewear. Lady June Squirrel is correct. The Grand Arbiter does in fact need a banyan. I'm not saying I have a pattern and a plan to make him one, but I'm not saying I don't. I've been thinking about it. I also have plans to make him a smoking jacket. Even though he never smokes, he only smoulders. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. I couldn't hold back. I'm so sorry. I'm not really sorry. Not at all. Oh, well, Philippos has a nice dramatic black duster and, of course, his formal lab coat. I mean, those are very robe-like garments. They're very close to robes. I think we could include them in the robe family. And if you're lounging about in them, if you're sort of swanning about the laboratory, sort of dashing about dramatically through the streets in your duster whilst acquiring necessity, I feel like this is robe-like. Very close enough, counts as a robe. So, right, Brittany asks, tell me more about the hat sew along, what type of hat? So Brittany, I will hold a poll on the style of hat, although I am leaning between two. One is the same style of hat as I made for the Hibiscus Hurricane. The other is the style of hat that I made for the the Scarab Sunrise, the blue and gold costume. Actually, I guess I'm leaning between three. The third one is the hat that I am proposing for the travelling costume, which is on hold right now, but I still need to make a hat for it. So, and that one is a really good style of hat. I've made it up before, but I gave it away to a dear friend quite a few years ago, so I don't think I have any good pictures of myself in it, but it's a wonderful, dramatic, big brimmed affair. It's sort of a homage to the Sherlock Holmes films with Robert Downey Jr. and The Woman. So it's a great hat. So those are the three I'm thinking of. What will happen is we'll finish the caftan, we'll do the dirndl sew along, and whilst we're doing the dirndl sew along, I'll start releasing information about the hat project. I was originally going to be teaching a hat making workshop this autumn in Washington DC, and I suspect that will not be happening as everything is postponed until next year. Travel just is not really safe. So I still want to teach some hat making though, and I love making hats, and I haven't picked up any of my hat making tools or my buckram or started any new hats, and so I really have a bit of a hankering to do some hat making. So it's really me choosing hats I already wanted to make and then offering you the opportunity to come along for the ride. And then I will, of course, teach all the ways that I know to make a hat, mostly by hand. So they are almost entirely constructed with hand stitching, which means if you don't have a sewing machine but you want to improve your costuming and improve your sewing, hat making is a really wonderful entree to more complicated sewing. If you want to do historical sewing for the 18th century, which for many people is their goal is to do everything by hand rather than by machine, a hat is a less intensive project to throw yourself into with hand sewing, and it gives you some wonderful practice to get through the hand sewing and to see results more quickly. So Carol, are you offering me a dramatic... who is offering this dramatic, easy 1920s robe pattern? I need it too. We all need this robe pattern. Please post up the information, the links, the pictures, the details in the Sew Askew group, because I just caught the comment and I need dramatic robe patterns. I need them. So... oh, Cindy, my dream is to have a very dramatic robe trimmed in marabou and to just entice Cake around the bungalow with my robe. If it has a sufficient train, he'll just ride around on the train, which is what he does when I wear dresses at home that have trains on them. He actually gets on to the trained part of the skirt and he just lies down on it, and I walk around and he sort of surfs behind me very contentedly. It's absurd. I can't get a picture. Need someone to be following me at the time. So, right. Ooh, tassels, lace, wonderful. Yeah, no, some very nice hats coming. I'm just catching up. Oh, Robin wants to know what my teacup says on the brim. It says, tea solves everything. This is what happens. You ask me a question and I go on a 10-minute answer and then I miss your beautiful comments. So, no, Philippos, you cannot put tassels on the lab coat. You're correct. That's a fire hazard. But definitely on the duster. Absolutely on the duster. Oh. I'm glad that we're all looking for fireproof tassels. Thank you, Eve. Thank you, thank you. So, for those who are curious about the hat, sew along. If you would like to help make choices about that, I encourage you to be part of the Patreon. The poll will probably go up on the Patreon. It will likely be very much as I'm running the Caftan sew along and the Dirndl sew along, which is that there will be some special sessions hosted through the Patreon, and then a lot of live streams with the opportunity to ask questions and video. Hat making is slow. You will understand why hats are so expensive. It's hard on the hands, so I generally want everyone to be able to do things, but if you have arthritis or hand injuries, we'll need to talk beforehand about some tools you can use to make hat making a little more ergonomic, a little less painful. I will show some of the ways you can do hat making with machine, but I have never personally found it possible to do the entirety of a hat by machine. There are antique millinery machines that allow more opportunities, but a modern home sewing machine just is limited by the geometry of a hat versus the geometry of a machine. So it's hard to get all those curves and wide brims and things under the machine, and into the arm. Your sleeve arm only takes you so far with hat making, but we can do some things by machine, and I will show you, or at least call out those shortcuts, even though I tend to prefer to make my hats as much by hand as possible. So I like this. Cats and science don't mix because it gives them more ideas. Yeah, no, that is a danger. They already have so many thoughts. Yeah, no, Andy, I think that it's really important. I can say, work through the pain, but that's a terrible option. And some hats, I think I've learned a lot over the years teaching hat making. Some hats, they're so quick and easy that working through the pain is less of an ordeal, but it still is painful. And why? I don't want you to hurt. I don't want you to suffer. If I can share with you some tools that will help. Honestly, the needle puller that Deborah introduced me to is a revolutionary tool for hat making. Will really help with your hand pain and your arthritis. We'll talk more about it, but a pair of needle nose pliers, so incredibly important. I've also discovered that some of the hat makers I really admire absolutely use staples to base their hats together, and then after everything is sort of constructed, they take the staples out, or if they're really buried and hidden, they leave them. Then they're not going to hurt you. So we'll talk about all of this and more in hat making. So Brittany, you will learn how it's done without hot glue. One thing we will not be using at all whatsoever in the hat making sew along is hot glue. I'm not opposed to hot glue in a sort of purist sense, because sometimes hot glue is your friend. But here, where it's so hot and dry, where our costumes are going to be really inundated with the sun and the heat, hot glue is not your friend. It will melt. It's a bit messy. I have used some specialty adhesives in hat making. They do speed up the process, that's nice. But they still dry out and the hat will start coming apart at those seams, and then you have to go in and try and fix it, which is I have to tell you, once you've used the adhesive, it is much harder to repair your chapeau than if you'd stitched it in the first place. And the sewn hats will not come apart on you in that way. You can crumple them, you can crush them, you could get them wet, which would be devastating. Don't get your hats wet. Your felt hats can get wet, but not your buckram hats. It's very bad. They will not survive a downpour. So but not to go off too far in the hats. No. So yes, hat making is coming. I think that's going to be an autumn project. The nice thing about doing the sew along is that we will be able to do a more ambitious hat project. Then I would be able to take you through in a weekend workshop. We will be doing a hat with a brim. So if you've done a pillbox with me in the past and you want to sort of progress to the next level from there, we're going to be doing a hat with a brim. I do feel that a pillbox gives you most all of the skills you need to make any hat going forward, but sometimes it's nice to sit with someone who's suffered before, who's cried, who's bled, who's failed, I've failed, who's done all sorts of mistakes, just so that that person can help you not make them. And honestly, I have made as many hat making mistakes as I've had successes. My wisdom is mostly very hard won, but I love it. I love hat making, and I'm as passionate a hat maker as I am a corset maker, to be honest. I think that tells you a lot about my personality. I like two of the hardest sewing projects possible the most. Not saying those are good qualities about my personality, but they are qualities. Yeah, no, brims are very, very good. And as Cindy says, yes, we can have a Say Something Hat Day. So I have a dream. Actually, I have a few dreams. In the world of hats and the world of steampunk, we have sometimes limited ourselves in the world of steampunk regarding the world of hats, and my dream is to open the world of hats to steampunk so that you may have as many hats as you choose. Top hats are glorious. I love a good top hat. I love a nice flat cap. A bowler's charming. I like a fascinator. I wear them all the time. But I want you to know that there are more choices for you. You can have a Glengarry or a pillbox or a flower pot, or a bonnet, or a conquistador bonnet, or just the list goes on and on and on. There are so many types of hats with so many different names. The mind boggles. All of them have a place in steampunk. So there's that. The other sort of fond hope I have is to see more hat-centered fashion shows in steampunk. I want us to celebrate hats. I love them so much. And if we could have a Say Something Hat Day at every convention, I would be so pleased. I'm not going to lie. Just want Edwardian hats, big hats, hats that could impale people, so we have to be very careful. Hats that could take out the competition in a parasol contest. I want hats that mean business, and I want to celebrate them. Small hats are delightful, I like them, but every now and again we need a really big and emphatic hat. So good. So yes, Eve Riot is correct. Calico Delphi is a wonderful inspiration. I mean, I'm not sort of keeping it around just, for the giggles. Oh no, I must have put it in a different hat box. Alright, it's true. I actually do keep hat boxes next to my tea table in case I need a hat and just need to ornament myself spontaneously. You never know. It's good to have a backup hat, to have a hat in the airship, to have a hat in the carriage, to have a hat in the travelling trunk. Just have all the hats all the time. You never know when you're going to need them. So, I do keep this one in a hat box when it's not on my head because the felines love it too much. This is the Calico de la Fée hat that Eve knows I have in my possession because she sent it to me for my birthday. And it is a gorgeous chapeau. Now, we're not going to be doing felted hat making, so we won't learn the felted skills, but we will talk a little bit about the ways that she decorated the hat. Oh goodness, it does look really nice with this ensemble. So I'm just going to leave it on. So yeah, we're going to learn some of this art. Now, a real gifted hat maker learns their own vocabulary and their own style and their own voice for how they like to decorate hats. So there are no right answers. That's part of the art. But I will share what I know about hat decorating to help empower you to find your own answers for how you would like to decorate hats. So, and yes, Yogi, a pirate bonnet too, although usually pirate bonnets are felted hats, because buckram does not do very well on the sea. It will lose its sort of oomph, and felted wool can be reshaped back into its proper shape. Brittany, making a pillbox hat out of plastic canvas, the plastic embroidery canvas, that grid, is actually a wonderful hack. If you cannot get buckram, the plastic canvas is a little bit heavier, a little bit more unwieldy in some ways, but it will hold up the shape and you can learn the basic shapes. You can also use that plastic canvas as a sort of testing ground to do a mock-up of a hat pattern. I also like to use cardboard or poster board to do mock-ups of hat patterns. So and Captain Evie is right. All bonnets can be pirate bonnets if a pirate wears them. That's truth. Eve, I think we do need to make a hat spirit week. We should talk. We should calendar. We should plan hat spirit week. I think it's coming. Also, I haven't worn it in a little while, mostly because I haven't been that fancy for a while. I think the pandemic has been getting to me a bit on that front, and every time I put this chapeau on, this beautiful purple chapeau, I just feel so elegant and extraordinary. It just imbues me with this wonderful sensibility. I love it. And it fits really nice with the little Heidi braids, which is entirely unexpected, to be honest. Robin would like to know if we are relying on Aunt Ivy for inspiration. You certainly could make an Ivy Hisselpenny inspired chapeau, and I would consider it an excellent plan. However, Biffy inspired chapeau are also a really good plan as well. So no, Brittany says she thinks a hat day at Gaslight Expo could totally be a thing after our Paris fashion craziness. Yes. Yes. Alright, Eve, yeah, no, our calendaring has been a little bit askew. But we can try. We'll talk. We'll plan. We'll think about it. We'll have an action plan and an agenda. We'll go from there. Yeah, no, we could do fancy hats and a Zoom crafting meetup. I haven't scheduled anything formally for Sunday, in part because normally I'm so wrung out after Gish, so it might be a bit slipshod in terms of a crafting meetup. It might be you crafting and me in my caftan. So a fair warning, as normally there's a huge push between now and midnight tomorrow when Gish ends. So no, Eve, that is perfect segue to why people should support your Patreon, so you can buy more fancy hats. Other reasons I think you should support Eve's Patreon, which I do actually. I mean, in a very, very small way. I'm not as a big contributor, but I'm very happy that I can subscribe to Eve's Patreon. I'm at the lowest possible tier, but I'm there. Eve makes brilliant art, and there's no better reason really to support an artist than so that they may continue to make brilliant art. But Eve is also very, very generous with her information about her resources, with her introspection about how she makes art, the art process, and she shares a lot of wonderful guides. Every Sunday is a really fun, cheeky sort of wrap up of information which I look forward to. Her photography is impeccable. To see Eve live is, I'm a little bit lost for words. She is one of the most incredible live performers I've ever had the privilege to see. And even though I am Eve's friend and I am a bit biased, I must tell you, I'm actually very particular about live performance. So if you get the opportunity, see Eve perform in 2021. Give yourself that gift. In the meantime, yes, absolutely, subscribe so she can buy more fancy hats and more outlandish robes, and also occasionally send me fancy hats as gifts. So that's a little bit self-serving. So, oh good. And Eve has shared some details in the comments as well. So, if you are an artist in the conversation tonight and you have a Patreon, please share it so we know where to look. I know it's not always possible to subscribe to and back and support all of the wonderful arts, all of the amazing artists, talented, creative people we know. I am very aware of that, and so I am personally deeply overwhelmed and so grateful that many of you subscribe to my Patreon and support the art, the Grand Arbiter and I make. I say this every time. You make what we do possible. We could not have the sew-alongs without the Patreon. Could not do it. It would not be possible. I would not have the resources all the time. Quite literally. We could not host the live teas without the Patreon. A great deal of our silliness that happens outside of the pandemic year would be impossible. During the pandemic year, to be frank, you are making the bungalow a place that can continue to exist, and so I'm personally deeply grateful for that. So thank you for subscribing and supporting, for those of you who are able to do so. If you're not, there's a reason why the Grand Arbiter and I make so much available. We really do things for the love as long as we can. But if you are able, I hope you know that every month when I see who's subscribing, I do cry a little bit. They're very happy tears, but I am so overwhelmed that I only can cry, to be honest. I'm very poor at saying an articulate thank you because I'm so overcome by the support. So yeah, no, that was very long, awkward thank you. Also a little bit of not pimping, oh that's a terrible verb, a little promoting of Dear Eve, with apologies, and a bit of love for our other artists, for all of you who are yourselves artists. Art cannot exist in a vacuum. We started tonight by talking about Gish and what a joy Gish is and how inspiring it is and how much kindness it generates and the good works and the charity and the wonderful weird energy, and how it's been a bit of a vacation from sorts of the dreadfulness of the world, which I personally really needed. But it is also about this thing that art does not happen in a vacuum. It is not only that you who subscribe to Patreon, who come to our Friday and Saturday teas, who participate in all of our shenanigans, who are in our groups, who come to our events, all of you who are our community, who are the temporal entourage, you who are here right now. When we talk about Madame Askew's temporal entourage, I am talking about you. I am not talking about Mick McTavisham or the interns, although they are part of it, but I am talking about you. It is not just all of these other ways that you very, very much participate and make things happen. It is the collaboration that we share, talking about ideas, brainstorming, coming up with mad projects and whimsical parties and plots, and the spinning out of brainstorming about hats. All of that is the fuel of art. I would not make art without you. I'm so inspired by you every day. I'm so grateful for you. So before I start weeping terribly, since you are so critical to my happiness in this world and my desire to make art and to create things, you understand then maybe how selfishly I treasure you. So please go forth, stay home if you're able. If you must go out, wear a mask, wash your hands, take care of yourselves. You are irreplaceable. There's no one else like you. And as long as you can take care of yourselves, you can take care of others. But never forget to take care of yourselves. It's so easy to do. And there's so much in this world demanding and needing our help right now. But you must fill your own teacup. Keep your own teapot full, or you will not be able to fill anyone else's teacup, metaphorically. So I will bid you good night. I love you. I adore you. I admire you. Thank you for joining me this Friday night. Yes, this is just the sort of deeply awkward, very, very sincere, emotional outpouring that Gish inspires and that I love so much. So thank you for staying with me, bearing with me on this front. Do join the Grand Arbiter tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Pacific time for all sorts of mad shenanigans. Who knows where he'll get up to? Will there be Legos? Will there be existential dread? Will there be ribbon ball? We don't know, but I can tell you this. The Grand Arbiter needs you every bit as much as I do, and that he pines away for your company. So please join him in the morning if you're able to be up that early, as I know it is quite early. In the meantime, sweet dreams. Enjoy the rest of your Friday.